more. Now we're joined by James Graham. Good evening to you, James. Thanks for coming on. Can you shed any light as to what was discussed this afternoon between the RLPA and the NRL?
Oh, look, I think our position hasn't changed. We need clarity on a number of issues, and we need them in writing before we can return to work. I think it's only fair that those are given to us before we go back to work on Monday. Hopefully, I need to reiterate as well that we wanted to be playing yesterday, and the 28th is a common goal. We just need some assurances before we get there. That's all.
Yeah, James, we've been talking throughout the show, and there's been, obviously the word boycott and it's been thrown around in the media at the moment, but I haven't heard any player say they're going to boycott anything, and it's good to get that reassurance from you right now. So the major concern is that you want it in writing. You want it in writing. What do you want in writing? What's going to make it? What's going to be enough for you guys to say, all right, that's perfect. Okay, there it is. We sign off. We're back to training.
Well, look, so there's a number of issues. So biosecurity issues, a number of financial issues, insurances, employment conditions, how the new normal is going to look, the responsibility that puts on us, and how we're going to work towards that. As a group, we've already seen there's been some misdemeanours happen over the weekend, but there's going to be new, stricter rules. Are people going to have to relocate? How that looks, like how long for, access to families, all these different things. And in terms of the financials, there's been no definitive offer, and there can't be because the broadcast deals haven't been finalised yet. So there's nothing being put to us that we can sign off on. So there's no pay dispute because there's nothing to dispute. Yep. And this narrative that's being pushed of greedy players and the players stalling this, like, we're hurting more than anyone. Like, we want to be out there playing. The lads at St George, we missed the Anzac Day game on the weekend just gone. So did the Roosters players. That money can't buy that experience. And the reality of the situation for the players is that we're getting zero pay after this. Like, not a cent is coming to our bank accounts after this. And this this narrative of that players are well off, and some players are, but we've seen that players have gone back to work, and they've had to balance that with their training commitments and go and get jobs. And I can't help but feel like we've sort of been set up to be the bad guys in all of this when that couldn't be further from the truth.
James, you've got every right. I agree with you. You've got every right to put yourself in a position where you're transparent with the NRL and you know exactly what's going to play out ahead of you. But the concern for me, and probably as a fan, is that you just outline a number of issues that haven't been resolved that need to be, and the longer it goes, mate, the game is in jeopardy of returning to the field. So what is the plan from here on in, and how quick can we make this happen?
Well, from a player's point of view, we need some answers. We've been promised along the way that we're going to get these answers. I know, speaking to the clubs, they're in the same boat as us. They don't know exactly how day-to-day operations are going to look, and until we get that in writing, there's no. I don't think it's fair for us to even think about it, because your employment law, all these different things. There's it's. Rugby league is. I've said this many times before. It's a made-up game with made-up rules. And that's what fundamentally you could bunker it down to, but it's much more than that, and we all know that. What I'm trying to get is there's different aspects of this, and things like injuries and insurances. Like, we return to training on Monday or Tuesday, and there's nothing in writing about what happens if somebody has a career-ending injury at training, which it's a very out there, extreme example, but it does happen. But players need surgery. We've just seen recently, the name escapes me off the top of my head, but a Bulldogs player had to postpone surgery. So Stimson had to postpone surgery. Like, how is all this going to look? And we need those answers. But I go back, like, our position hasn't changed throughout all this. It's always been the same. The NRL know exactly know exactly the questions that we need answering, and unfortunately we haven't been given them.
Jimmy, sounds like you have the game's best interests at heart. Why the reason for the proposal in writing? Is it to dot the I's and cross the T's, or has it got something to do with the history of the mismanagement of funds that the previous administration may have had with the players in different avenues?
Oh, look, I think trust can be gained and be lost, but fundamentally, if you're, employment law, you'd want that in writing. I think gone are the days of trust me and we'll guarantee it. Well, we need to see that in writing, and I'm reluctant to bring the Warriors and the out-of-state teams in on this, but I don't think it's fair to ask them to move away and potentially be away from friends and families for as long as it's maybe looking like without these guarantees signed off on. I just think it's unrealistic and an unfair expectation on those people.
Jimmy, off the top of the show, we had Peter V'landys do a piece to Channel 9, and in his words, I don't want to mix his words, but basically guaranteed 80% to the players. Does that give you confidence, and does that allow you to move forward with Peter's words there, or is it not about the number 80%? Is it more about the other workplace things you need in place?
I think it's mainly about the things in the workplace, and in terms of what's going to be offered, it's just like anything. It's how have you come to that conclusion that that's the offer? There's probably going to be some more questions to be asked, but I maintain the point that we have the same goal, and we want to get back on the 28th, as does the NRL, as do the clubs, as do the fans, and you guys in the media as well. But we can't do that until it's signed off on. It's just unrealistic to ask that of a playing group, I think.
James, as it stands, we're expecting things to resume, training, whatever meetings might be scheduled for Monday. As it stands this evening, will the players be turning up for work on Monday?
If nothing changes, I can't see it until we have those things signed off on. There may even be a legal side to it, but certainly the feeling in the group is that our position hasn't changed, and we need those assurances before we can turn up to our place of work.
James, we really appreciate you joining us on the show tonight and giving us some clarification around what has been a very long and complicated negotiation. We're hoping that there is a resolution sooner rather than later and that we can kick on with the season. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
No, my pleasure.
Thanks,
Thank you
mate.
for having us.